And shoot, right now, none of them have a jump shot. I'm like, it's up to y'all to do. I'm teaching them the correct form. Some of them push, but we'll see, man. And I'll say this: if you're a coach and you have a child, before you put your child in sports, make sure you are working with your child on a regular basis. Because when you put them in a sport, uh, that's all I'm gonna say.
You said
Just
that
work
guy.
with them.
The truth's gonna come out if you try to put him in the sport. And they, he's like, y'all just getting cardio. I guess that's why he stopped
Yes.
up.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Well,
just
again, we want to welcome everyone to the show. Sorry for again the delayed start tonight, but I think we got everything in the background. We got everything worked out. So again, we appreciate you guys being with us tonight. Just make sure when you come in tonight, make sure you hit the like button as you come into the show. Really helps the algorithm out. Any super chats that you want to give to the Black Men Unfiltered Network, you see those scrolling at the bottom of the screen. So make sure you check the bottom there, and you can certainly give a set cash app or super chat to the channel. We really appreciate it. And then anything you want to give to us individually, you see our cash apps, our individual cash apps that are scrolling at the bottom of the screen. So either to again the BMU network or the or certainly to us, we'd appreciate it. So again, we want to get into this. I know we waste a little time getting to the show, but let's get into this. So again, we're going to start as always with the hot and heavy NFL. So again, we have the standings after week 7. And so yeah, we're seeing some patterns here. It's where we can really see how the season, unless something drastic happens. We certainly see some major trends here. For me, the biggest takeaways is again Indiana. We got to start talking about Indianapolis guys. Are they legit? A lot of us we weren't thinking. Danny Dimes, he's been named Indiana Jones. And so he's been doing his thing, making a case for an MVP. We're going to talk about that. But look in New England, first year coach, and Buffalo, they've been struggling. They went to a bye week, and so we'll see how they come out. But certainly New England at the top of that division, and Denver, who had an unbelievable comeback last week. We're going to talk about that game as well. And then on the NFC side, we're going to talk about did they right the ship last week? That's certainly to be discussed. Well, surprise team for me is Seattle, 5-2. And that's a very competitive NFC West. And and then we got in the North, the Bears 4 in a row. So we're gonna get into all that. But those are I guess my initial thoughts on this on this division on this year so far. But definitely we see some things forming. You're going to have some very hotly contested divisions, I think, the rest of the way. And the only one who's really running away with anything is really, like I said, Indianapolis in theirs. Pittsburgh, that was a brutal loss last week. I don't want to talk about that one too much, but certainly you have some very competitive races so far. So I'll start with the coach. And again, I know you've been busy. I know how much football you're able to watch, but your initial thoughts just looking at this list and the results, certainly from last week. Certainly, I can share those as well. So again, we got these are the scores, certainly from last week as well. Anything that sticks out to you from last week's suite of games, and again, if the playoffs were today, Green Bay and the Colts, they would certainly have one seed at this point. But we got to see how that pans out because again, that tiebreaker there is for the most guys float. But yeah. So, Coach, give me your thoughts initially on the season so far. Open.
just even just looking at the division with ALC, man, definitely surprised. I think we're everybody surprised by the Colts and how well Daniel Jones is playing in that offense. I'm surprised by the Dolphins, but they did have some injury, and you can see that they're this. I'm giving my bad surprises. Of course, Baltimore, crazy. I'm surprised New England. Not New. I'm gonna say my bad surprises are the teams that I would hope would do good. But Miami, the Jets, Baltimore, who else? That's about it. And I'm surprised about Houston, the way that they're playing in the AFC, NFC. Uh, we panic when Philadelphia doesn't play a perfect game, but everybody else, let me see, far as bad, not really anybody surprising there. I can see that being what it is, but good. Pittsburgh, surprised at Pittsburgh having Aaron Rodgers that they're playing a lot well. I'm surprised that not just a team, but I'm surprised that the way Joe Flacco has been able to transition, and step right in because he has probably one of the best duos in the league. So him being who he is, I think it's going to be easy down the road. Let me see who else good. Not really surprised by the NFC. Every team that's in first place or fighting for second, that's where they should be based off the NFC. But yeah, I'm not surprised.
Gotcha. Shawnee, your standout so far, just looking at the 10,000 foot view before we go into some of these games.
Well, I'm looking I'm looking at the NFC first. Um, I Philadelphia has a good chance of repeating as division champs, even though this will be the first time in what 8 or 9 seasons that that division has had repeating champs. Um, but that division do play each other very well. I mean, Dallas could have beat them in Game One. The Giants have found something so far in Dart. You brought up that letdown game versus Denver, but I mean, besides the game versus Dallas because Dallas defense is so bad and they put that much points up. We haven't really seen that offense click like that in a while. 'Cause I think this is like back to back weeks that they kind of have some rhythm going on offense. And even that Dallas game was like a one and done because the next week they was bad. But you could clearly see they found something in Dart. Washington, I think they about to drop because Daniels now he's going to be out. I forgot the team they about to play next week, but he got a low grade hamstring strain. And you play football, coach probably familiar with that hamstring. Hell, even if you run track,
Oh, I think they played the Chiefs. I think.
yeah, that's right, that's right. So that cause they had a Monday night football. It was
Yeah.
supposed to be a big game, but now you lost your starting quarterback. But that hamstring, especially with a quarterback like Daniels who like to use his legs, you may think you feel good on return down. You overstride, bam, you be in the same boat. So I don't
Yes.
know. I don't know. Going to the North, I still believe Detroit is the best team over there. But that, I mean, you got Green Bay technically has a better record because of that tie. Chicago has won 4 in a row. Minnesota, the 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 jury's still out on their quarterback. McCarthy. You know, some believe now, of course, hindsight. 2020, but hindsight, they should have kept Sam Darnold. But Darnold now is in Seattle, who he came on record saying he feels wanted there. I believe this is the first time he bought a home in Seattle. This is the first time he bought a house in there, so he's good. And going to this AFC, oh, and Tampa Bay still doing their thing. And I do like Atlanta though, but Seattle playing my Texans. Thing is what's frustrating about the Texans. The Texans their record could almost be up there with Indianapolis. They was literally in every game they played in. I think they lost by like one possession because of one series, and that's how they lost. They was in the game versus the Rams. They was in the game versus the Buccaneers till Bayfield drew that, led them to that game-winning field goal at the close of the game. They was it could have been the defense did everything they could for Seattle. 4 turnovers, a defensive touchdown, um, even kept Seattle in field goals a couple of times. I think a blocked a field goal because the offense kept putting him in bad spots. I don't know what Stroud was doing when he ran backwards, and he got lucky they didn't call it safety because I thought it was a safety. But if that offense if they could just be more productive, they could have easily probably had at least a 5-2 record right now. But that offense is leaving that defense out to dry. And but Indianapolis, They doing their thing. I want to see how the Texans, because they usually play very good games versus each other, Indy and Houston, but they don't play each other, which is weird. For that, both of their games is towards the end of the season, so we'll have to wait until they see each other. Denver is doing their thing, even though Coach tried to take a shot at Russell Wilson. Um, I'm about to say Clippers. The Chargers, they on a little slide right now, but I always believe that right now it's still the first half of the season. You want your team to play their best football towards the end of the season, so they still got time to get back on the right track. They just on a little dip right now, and as long as they keep their heads up, I still believe they could come. Now the team that's scary though is the team listed right below them. They getting healthy, and they starting to look like that. And you already know once KC looks healthy, you all the other stuff they don't care about their record right now. Pretty much the last week was the first time you see KC, because that was the first time that you had your receivers Rice, Brown, and Worthy. That was the first time they played with each other. So now it looks like Mahomes trying to get his weapons back. That's going to take a lot of pressure off of Kelsey. He don't have to be the Kelsey of 3 seasons ago. He can kind of be just like Jason Witten. Just find your gaps and just do that. You don't got to overwork yourself, because now you can leave it to these young studs over here and do their thing. Going up to the north, as long as Pittsburgh, stay on the straight and narrow, that division is theirs. I mean, I don't even know. I don't want to say they did, but it almost kind of feels like Baltimore. They almost just kind of threw up the white flag. They just, I don't even know if Lamar should even come back.
Oh, shout out to our guy, What We Know podcast. Shout out to JT. Yes, he's already called out the refs. The refs are in the pocket of Kansas City again. So we start.
That
We're
team,
gonna
they
start
getting
that
better.
narrative. We're gonna start that narrative again, and we'll see. But you better hope that my Steelers beat Green Bay on Sunday Night Football, which is and that's a huge game for us, because again I thought we gave up an opportunity certainly last week. Joe Flacco, we said we couldn't. My defensive secondary couldn't cover anybody, and those guys just went off. So yeah, I'm not worried about the offense, but defensively, that was a major letdown by the Steelers, and they really could have gave themselves a nice cushion in that a bigger cushion in the North. So yeah, so you better be JT, you better be rooting us for us very hard. And shout out to my guy Hank. I know I was trolling a little bit because he basically was calling his team trash a few weeks ago.
He probably will show up today.
No, but he now he's saying he corrected it, because I was watching on Hank in the Basement. I was watching his show, so he said he don't think his team is trash. He thinks Caleb Williams is trash. So he's modifying his statement a little bit, but we're gonna get into that some as we go along here. So again, as you see right now, again, if the playoffs were to start today, certainly the number one seeds would be Green Bay and Baltimore. And again, we're going to get into some of these specific details here. Obviously, start with the Eagles. So again, pretty good for a game manager. Jalen Hurts, basically a perfect passer rating, 3 TDs or whatnot. But we understand AJ Brown still isn't happy. But you're just going to have to deal with that, or you trade him. Now I know you got the trading deadline coming up on I think the 5th, November 5th is the trade deadline.
Let me look that up real quick.
It's coming up soon. So if they're going to make a move, the question is still going to be: do you make a move for trade him out of the conference, or do you try to ride this out? Because again, the team's going to be what it's going to be. And the last thing you're going to need is any kind of dysfunction or distraction in the locker room, trying to keep him happy this whole way down. So, your thoughts
4th.
on the Eagles? What's that?
November 4th.
November 4th. So it's coming up. So it's coming up in shortly. So would you pull the trigger to put Brown on the market at this point in time, or do you just roll? You just roll it? Because I think I still picking the Eagles certainly to win the division. But I don't know if they can they sort of tolerated it last year. When does it become a problem where you got to get rid of them? So Sean, I'll start with you and go to Coach.
You just got to deal with them this year. I sent I don't know if y'all saw the little tweet, I guess, was AJ Brown, I guess, still.
Yeah, I just saw it, but just before, you shouldn't have a few minutes before
the show.
Like
cryptid tweets or messages or whatever about whatever, being AJ Brown, even after a win, he put out this cryptic stuff. But right now, I think if they trade Brown, I think the Eagles' championships hopes are done. He's
Mhm.
that much of a game changer. So you deal with that until the end of the season, then you address it at the end of the season. But right now, he's way too important to that offense. I mean, you saw how he looked like versus the Vikings, who has a pretty steady defense under Brian Flores. But he's a game changer, man. I mean, he can really wreck a defensive game plan. So you just deal with it just for whatever. I think I saw reports that Brandon Graham may be trying to come back out of retirement. He's thinking
Yeah.
about it, and he's a locker room leader, very respected in that locker room. So I've heard like if he does happen to come back, he can have that presence to kind of smooth things over with Brown and whatever. Locker room dudes in pro sports is very important. They're the main ones who keep the stuff even. They the ones who are generally respected enough to call other people out, teammates out, if they don't, if the players kind of start tuning out the coaches a little bit. So, but yeah, you keep Brown at least to the end of the season because I believe if you let him go, then your chance of defending your title is gone because he's
Yeah.
just that much. As good as Devontae Smith is, he's just. I mean, he can do his thing because they kind of have two number ones, but it also helps because you have a receiver the caliber of Brown, who generally DB1 is over there. So Smith can do his thing on DB2, but you kind of swap him. He could do his thing on DB1, but it's just not gonna. It's not the same thing. So, and we already seen. I don't think if you take away Brown, I don't know how Hurts will how much it'll affect his game if you take away one of his premier receivers.
Right. And just for perspective, Brown, 6 targets, 4 catches, 121 yards, 2 touchdowns, and he's still putting tweets out. So, Coach, what are your thoughts on this? Again, can he become a cancer? I mean, if he's not happy off of this game, um, you know, I don't know if it's worth keeping this guy. I know he's talented and whatnot, but if you can get like a third rounder for him, or maybe even a second rounder for him, would you pull the trigger on that? And given this deadline coming up, what's your thoughts on how the Eagles should roll with this?
Glad we fans and not GMs, man. Listen, I think you
I asked the
keep them
question.
right.
I didn't say GM.
No,
I'm just asking
no,
a question, bro.
no. I'm just saying. I'm just saying because we get emotional when it comes to this game. I would keep them right. You still in first place. We act like listen. We don't give Jalen Hurts and the Eagles no grace to lose, but people who are bandwagon fans, right? They Kansas City, oh, they get it together. Listen, they just came off a Super Bowl and they playing in one of the arguably the toughest division in NFL history. And they still are in position to be in first place. That says a lot. Now, AJ Brown, he's eating. I would say if I was the Eagles, I would find a man circle for him and put him down in those spaces and let him talk about whatever it is that he's battling with because he clearly has the talent. Without him on that team, they'll become one dimensional. And they have again, probably you can say one of the top 5 duos in receivers. Jalen Hurts will get better as a quarterback. And this is based off, in NFL, you have to be able to throw it far and up and over. And as they pass more and the rhythm comes, you'll see Philadelphia having a more balanced attack. Because remember, Saquon ain't even had his breakout game yet.
Yeah, he
So
only had
it's
44
coming.
yards rushing in this game.
It's coming when it gets colder. So I understand, but feed him both the ball, 7, 8 targets a game. He better catch 5 or 6 of them. Simple as that. I mean, that's just
Say
me.
they. I'm trying to remember.
I think
They.
Graham is coming back too. My bad, Sean. I think Graham did decide to come back.
Oh, okay. So that'll be a good boost for them. I was trying to remember. They acquired Brown before they end up drafting Smith, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, 'cause that's when I remember. That's when Hurts' game took off, and then they gave him another weapon. Like, oh, okay, you really trying to put weapons on him. So yeah, he definitely boosted up Jalen Hurts' um, production.
Who's Fred?
Gotcha. Hello.
Come out in the basement. Who
I
the
think he
hell
meant
is
Ferg.
Fred?
I think
What do you mean?
shout
I'm
out to
just
our guy
messing with
Hank
him.
in the building tonight. Yes, NFC North is the toughest division. So again,
Come on,
good to have
Hank.
you on
Come
board,
on,
sir,
brother.
with us tonight. So, but let's move on to the next matchup here. So again, the Lions again, our guy, What We Know podcast. Shout out to JT. Yes, he's gloating again because certainly everybody was hyping up, I guess, the Tampa Bay and Baker Mayfield and whatnot. And yes, we were saying, is he in the MVP conversation? But they had certainly a very definitive win against the Bucks. And in sad news, I think Mike Evans, I think he's out for the year, unfortunately, with a broken clavicle. So he's gone. So again, they already had a lot of injuries going into that game, and now that you lost your top receiver, so there's going to be, we got to see if they can maintain that lead. They have a decent cushion in that division, but we'll see if they can maintain it over time. But yeah, but again, pretty dominant performance for the Lions, but it seems a little bit up and down because again they lost their opener to Green Bay. They won four in a row. They looked very dominant, and then they just lost this last game. They lost last week, and then they won this game again here. So it seems like they're still working some things out. So I don't necessarily want to paint them as being ahead of the pack or coming out of the North. But certainly, this was certainly a very important win for them coming out. Your thoughts, Shawnee, on this game, and where do you think the Bucks go from here? Again, given the trade line coming up, I think they definitely got to go after another receiver. Who you think they can get? What do you think they're willing to offer for a wide receiver?
Yeah, to me, I mean, no taking credit away from the Lions because Jameer Gibbs, he had a big game. He definitely helped me in my fantasy league. But this game just got watered down very quickly because you see, Mike Evans went down early, and Ibuka, I was surprised he was playing. He was basically playing on a hamstring and a half because he's been having hamstring issues. So of course, I mean, so Baker Mayfield, he had to just go to Cade Otton, his tight end. I think more time, that he had this season. So it wasn't the same Tampa Bay offense because they just had lost one of the weapons was like half speed for the most part, and the other one he just got lost early. So I was hoping, I was like, when I saw on paper like this had, especially when I saw Evans was coming back for this game, I was like, oh, this game's gonna be potentially be good, and it just got watered down very early in the game. Um, but yeah, no, take no credit away from the Lions because they was able to run the ball strong. As I say, Gibbs he went off. I just believe it would have been a different game if Mayfield would have had his weapons. I mean, he had one, but he wasn't the same Ibuka that was causing ruckus, prior to his hamstring injury. And so, yeah, I say it was a good win by the Lions, though. They could control other teams' injuries. It was just as a fan watching a game that potentially could have been a great game on paper. It just fizzled out early because key players just started getting knocked out. So
Mhm.
Yeah, I hear you. Like I said, they definitely seem to be, pushing through just to give a greater look at the North. Again, shout out to Hank being in the building tonight. Again, the North looking very strong. But again, to me, the surprise team. Now, again, shout out to Hank being in the building. Yes, I was trolling on your channel the other night, but the idea here, 4 straight wins for the Bears. In Caleb, he doesn't have great numbers in the last couple games, and obviously they're going to need him to play well, certainly down the stretch of the season. But I'll ask the guys here: do you believe in the Bears? Can they, make some noise in this division? or are they, are they going to be, looking at, a wild card, or finishing like third in the division? Where do you see the Bears? Do you think they can make a move towards the top of the division, or and has anything changed your opinion about Caleb Williams and his ability to lead this team? Because it seemed like certainly running the football, defense has certainly been winning for him. He didn't have a great QBR. I think the last game, I don't know if he even threw for like 100 yards, 150 yards in that last game. So he, but your thoughts on the Bears and just looking at this division. I know this, like I said, the Packers play the Steelers on Sunday Night Football, so definitely has a must win in my view for my team, especially given the bitter loss that they had to the Bengals. So your thoughts on the Bears and just overall just how this division is shaping up. Sean, I'll start with you and go to Coach.
Well, I can see how Hink is not really a big fan of Williams yet. I mean, I mentioned last week he's improving just because he set the bar so low prior to Ben Johnson getting to the Bears. But even the game versus the Saints, he had a terrible game. He only completed 57% of his passes for 170 yards and one INT, no touchdowns, and finished with a rating of 61-7. So he still didn't look good in that game. But they're getting wins though, which shows you the value of a head coach. And and it for the majority of us, when we saw that the Browns was able to acquire Ben Johnson as the head coach, we were like, okay, if anything, your franchise, the team production is gonna go up. We never second guessed that it's gonna go up. Ben Johnson is a proven coach. Now his counterpart with the Lions, I mean with the while he was on the Lions, who's head coach now at the Jets. I I don't know if we was going to get to that one. I hope because now you can't really make a case for Aaron Glenn right now. I mean,
Hmm.
because
Yeah.
It was Aaron Glenn's decision to bring in Justin Fields, who now get his own owner talking about him. I'm like, come on, man. But as far as the Bears, man, I mean, they won four straight. Um, they playing good as a team. I mean, if you win in four straight and your quarterback is not looking up the part, I mean, you playing very good, like complementary ball.
You
Like the
know,
defense is looking out for the offense, and the offense. Because I was looking at the stats. They may not be the best passing team, but they are a top 10 rushing team. So they're able to control the clock via the run game. Defense is able to make plays defensively. And Caleb Williams is just basically got to get in where he fit in right now the way he's playing.
Hmm.
But he's not costing them games too much. I mean, I brought up the INT versus the Saints, but yeah, they playing good enough complementary ball these past four games to where you hope you look at Williams like yes, you physically talented, but like we say, like it's all between the inside of your in between your ears, man. What makes a quarterback, and that's all. You just can't get the read the defenses correctly and whatnot. He may be another. Right now, I think he's having the most success team wise than recent number one draft picks as quarterbacks. He's having the most success so far because Baker Mayfield, it took him a while until he got to Tampa Bay, so he started seeing success. You always see Cam Ward right now; they looking just bad. They lucked up when they win. Who's just all the one Panthers quarterback. We thought he was on the up and up, but he kind of came back to earth. So right
Yeah, and
now,
I think he's hurt too. I think.
Bryce Young.
Yeah.
Yeah, so right now, even though he's not playing that well, he is experiencing the most winning. So we we'll see about it. But I think the Bears as a whole, I think they're gonna stay in that division. They're gonna stay in that division. They're just gonna be a pest. But I still don't think they're on the level as the two teams above them right there, the Packers and the Lions. They'll
Gotcha.
challenge them, but I don't think I don't know if they'll be a playoff team because if you look at the numbers, just what is it, 7 teams in the NFC that go to the playoffs? So I believe the wild card is going to come out this division. So I think it's going to either the Packers or the Lions, one of them two.
Mhm.
Then you got the other division winners, and I believe the second wild card may
You got a lot
come.
of bunching in the West. You could
Yeah,
possibly have 3 teams coming out of there. So
yeah. So
it's oh
I think just
yeah,
by the numbers, the Bears is going to miss out on the playoffs.
yeah, for sure, for sure. Coach, your thoughts? You buying the? Are you buying the? You selling or buying the
Yeah,
Bears?
yeah. Right now, I'm buying the Bears, man. Caleb, he's gonna again. We think and believe that all quarterbacks should come in 4 touchdowns a game as a rookie. It doesn't work like that. You see some struggle early, come better after they get the gameplay. Some have success early. Then we can see how some fall off. But to have a balanced attack, that's what our offensive coordinator does. The balanced attack on offense wins the game. Aaron Glenn is a defensive coach. So he's not focusing on the offense. He's on the defense. But if your offense ain't putting up points, puts too many 3-and-outs, defense only can play so many plays. They get tired. So that's the difference. They're not running the ball. They're not even attempting to run the ball first and second down. You got to run the ball. I'd rather get 4 yards, 2 yards first and second down, have a third and short, third and 6, than I have play action. They don't do none of that. You don't pass on first down. But Chicago, yeah, we'll see when the weather get cold. It's a great change up there. So all this fun football, we'll see in a few
I heard
weeks.
that. Heard that. Shout out to our guy Anton. As always, thank you so much for the support of the channel with a $10 super chat. It's official. The New York Jets are a cross between a train wreck and a dumpster fire. Can't win in the U.S. Can't win in the U.K. Something tells me they're going to be the first team to go 0-17, but they certainly have the number 1 seed right now.
I hope not, man.
So the question, guys, just I didn't. I think I might have asked in the back chat, but I don't think I was here. So again, yay or nay, he lasts the season, or does he get fired after the season?
I
Is he
think
one
he
and done?
will because he's respected by the Jets ownership, Woody Johnson. He's a Jet. So I think they're going to show him some grace for this one season. I believe Tyrod Taylor is going to start this next game,
Yeah,
and you may see just improved quarterback play. Because I think we already seen what Justin Fields is. Right? I think he always gets optimism every team he go to. He basically just revert back to the reason why that respective team let him go. He just I don't know. So you see the ceiling with Fields,
He
but
still throws the ball like he's in college. He has no loft on it. He's throwing it to the player instead of over the defender. That's all his balls. It just, you don't see no height. It just goes. And most of the time, the defender can always make a play on the ball. He
mm-hmm.
hasn't learned how to drop it in the bucket yet.
yeah.
I can throw like he throws, but to drop it in the bucket, it's different. He can't do
Yeah,
that.
that's a skill set that I don't think people, like you say, because when you do that, you doing that on purpose because it goes over the head of the defender. If you put
Yes.
it like on a rope or whatnot, well, guess what? The defender can turn around, locate the ball, and make a play on it. But
Right.
yeah, I think the ceiling with him. But again, Aaron Glenn chose Fields, and want to give him that 2-year contract. And a lot of times with a head coach, your quarterback basically determines your fate.
Right.
So
But you still think he lasts. You still think he gets
I
more than a year?
believe so because take for example, okay, owner Woody Johnson just came out and made comments, but he made comments about the quarterback. His quarterback. He didn't. He left Glenn out of it,
Coach
even though
Allen.
Glenn is the head coach of this 0-17 right now, over 16.
Mm-hmm.
But he pointed his finger at the quarterback.
Mhm.
I told you, like when Fields had that game and had the worst quarterback performance in Jets history, I was like, yeah, dude, they sound like that's kind of you're in the gutter if you do something like that. And so
Yeah.
if they able to point the finger at the QB instead of the head coach of this winless team,
Something
I
right.
think that would give him grace to at least see year 2.
Well, let me ask you this. All right. So again, and we saw this happen with New England last year, right? That coach only got 1 year. Then Mike Rabel became available, and then he was out. So it's not
Yeah.
unprecedented for a coach to go like that. But you take a guy like Gruden. Gruden says, "I want to get back into coaching." He talks to the Jets GM or whatever. Does he get the job?
Uh, like I said, I think because of how he's viewed, I think they're gonna give Glenn at least year two.
Mm-hmm.
And I think by this time though, year two, I don't think he's gonna start that year with Fields, even though he's got a 2 year contract. He's gonna have to go get a
But they're
legit
paying him like
quarterback.
minimum money. I think it's like what 15 mil. I
Well, then
mean,
that's even more reason he's not going to start in year two. I
yeah,
would not be surprised if Tyrod Taylor be the starter for the rest of the season.
yeah. And Tyrod, he's one of those guys. He's almost like that guy Fitzpatrick. Like Tyrod
He's a
can
legit
win. He
professional.
can win you a game or a couple games, but he can't be a 16, 17 game starter.
Yeah,
But he competes and he can certainly come in at any time. He's a very
yeah.
competent backup, and like just like that guy Fitzpatrick used to do. He can come in and win some games. Coach, your thoughts real quick on the Jets. Do you think Glenn lasts the season, especially if they go 1-16 or 0-17 or whatever the thing is? Bottom line, if they do get the number one seed, obviously they're going to have the option quarterback draft in first round. So, what's your thoughts
Ooh,
on
that's deep.
that? Does he get to stay?
Yeah, he gets to stay. They'll definitely be in the hunt for a quarterback, maybe in the draft, maybe a good veteran. But yeah, he's going to stay. He's a defensive coach. Ben
Mm-hmm.
Johnson is an offensive coordinator. That's the difference. So just like Mike Tomlin, he's defense. That's why the defense is always tough. So he's going to find the right coordinator. Sometimes coordinators can sort of just hang you out to dry too because they call him dumbass plays at dumbass times of the game.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't help the quarterback to put him under
Montana.
that pressure. Play action fake, run the ball. Simple.
Yeah.
But that's just
Shout out
me.
to our guy Anton again, another $10 super chat. Justin Fields has no pocket awareness. That was the same issue he had with the Bears and the Steelers. And if you really think about it, Field has had that issue since he was at Ohio State. I mean he's athletic. You can bring him in for an option play or something like that. But yeah, at the pro level, it's a different skill set, and it's just amazing to me how even with the Steeler fans they were talking about, oh, we need to keep Justin Fields. Oh, don't go after Aaron Rodgers. And then now I hear the Steeler fans, the Yinzers, no one's saying that anymore. So, but I hope Glenn gets more than 1 year. But I got to feel if one of these hot coaches or coordinators, if they become an option, again, we've seen this before with New England last year. It wouldn't surprise me if Glenn is gone at the end of the season, especially if they get less than 3 wins. I think he could certainly be gone, especially if someone like Gruden or whatnot expresses an interest to get back into coaching. So we'll see what happens there. But let's move over to the AFC side of the ball. So obviously, the Colts looking very surprising. Everybody was saying, hey, is this legit or not? I mean, San Diego supposed to be a pretty decent team themselves and pretty dominant in this win. Daniel Jones, third in the NFL in passer rating. And I think he's got to be the MVP frontrunner at this point because quarterbacks, unless you have a 2,000-yard kind of season, they're not giving the MVP to a wide receiver or running back. And so, they're impressive, and that this is an amazing turnaround. Just given the turmoil from last year with Richardson, even going to the training camp, they weren't sure. It wasn't Daniel Jones' job right away. He had to win it. Richardson obviously lost it, but no one I think could have predicted the start for the Colts. So your thoughts on the Colts? Are they legit? And is now they don't call him Danny Dimes anymore? It's Indiana Jones. And so, is this team poised to really, take the AFC this year? I think the South is pretty much won, but how far do you think this team can go? The way it's set up now. Let's start with Coach first, and let's go down the show.
I mean, I think he's given the team a lot more confidence just with his play because now you see a balanced attack out of the coach. Jonathan Taylor is coming back to form. So, yeah, I think that they're here to stay. They're going to be a hard team to beat in the playoffs. So, as long as everybody stays healthy for the coach, I think they'll continue. winning games. I think they're gonna probably end up with a. Let me see. What's their record? 5-2, 6-1.
6-1. Yeah.
6-1.
So I think they'll end up with like a 14, 12 to 14.
Yeah.
I'll go 12,
And the game they
14.
lost, that was the game where the
Close game.
wide receiver lost the ball. He was going into the I mean,
End
there was
zone.
yeah,
He
so I mean
fell
they
in the
could have been
belt.
very well 8-0. I mean, it's like I said, I've seldom seen a turnaround like this, or having a quarterback come in and have this kind of impact right away. But yeah, I mean this team is definitely a problem. Shawnee, your thoughts on the Colts and where they can go?
Well, just like I mean, it's no secret that the best friend for a quarterback is a running game. Right now, Daniel Jones is experiencing the best running game in the league right now. Um, and his defense is solid. They got a good rushing defense. Now, they passing defense is down there with the Cowboys, but they have a good rushing defense, so they able to pretty much make stops when they need to, and they have a dominant run game. So the play action and all that stuff is working well for them. They can control the clock, and Daniel Jones, he's just able to. It feel like in New York because he basically had to force everything. It wasn't like he had the best weapons. I mean, he did have Saquon, but he didn't really always have the best offensive line in New York. He got a better one now in Indy, um, and he has a more consistent run game. And he says right now it's just playing off that run game. And, play action is just easier for the quarterback. So I think they legit, but I think when I know we mentioned earlier talking about how the Chiefs are up and coming because they have their receivers coming back, or in particular one coming back to solidify the receiving core. I think they'll be a team that can ultimately expose that weak pass defense that the Colts have. So you have the Chiefs. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think of another AFC teams that have the receivers. Cause look like they all in the NFC right now. I will say the Bengals, but they don't have a. I mean, I think on a hot night, the Bengals possibly can beat the Colts with their receivers. That's Joe Flacco if he gets a random hot night. But on an average day, no, I don't think they could beat the Colts. But they
Mhm.
do have the receiving core to challenge that secondary of the Colts. It just depends on, cause if Flacco is hot, Flacco he'll throw that ball over the field. But that's probably it's a lightning strike. You don't know what's going to happen because he's still over 40 years old. But if he's hot, I mean, he got them two receivers. Arguably the best set. I think it's three teams that have legit tandem receivers: Cowboys, Eagles, and the Bengals.
Mhm.
And you choose who you want to put them in what order. And I believe they can challenge that secondary, but it just depends on what Flacco. He can revert back and turn to 35-year-old Flacco instead of what 42. Um, but yeah, right now. But I'm just trying to think of AFC teams that have the receivers to challenge that secondary. Other than that, yeah, I mean the Colts can literally make. I would not be surprised if the Colts can at least get to the AFC Championship game with that team, with the run game, with defense that's strongest to run. Like I say,
Mhm.
their Achilles heel is that secondary. So if
Right.
they can kind of control the game, per se, which they do with the running game, then they can kind of, they'll be in the driver's seat. Because that run
Gotcha.
game is going to control the clock.
Well, certainly they're going to have motivation because if anything, if they are going to make that kind of run, they better nab that number one seed because you don't want to go to Kansas City in January, and you don't want to go to Buffalo, assuming or New England, assuming those guys are going to be at the top, or Pittsburgh for that matter. So again, if they can get that number one seed and have that 70-degree weather in the dome, they're as dangerous as anybody. But shout out to Dante showing up tonight, and again, I got to give the brother credit. Opening night NBA, his Lakers go down, but still he rocks the colors, ride or die, purple and gold all the way. So appreciate that. I like the support that you can't got, and he even posts 3-3-1 in the chat. So that my man he rocks with his team, ride or die. So I love the energy that you bring. But
Yeah.
welcome aboard tonight, and again, your thoughts on I guess we were talking about the Colts
Colts.
and
Yeah, I heard it coming in.
and where they are with so again, I mean, I think we got to keep saying, because I was saying this isn't real, this isn't legit, but again, they beat a very good San Diego team, which has been up and down all year, but yeah, I think they're here to stay. And Daniel Jones, what can I say? I mean, I've lived with Daniel Jones for 4 years, and I can tell you, nobody saw this coming. So again, your thoughts on the Colts, and where do you think they can go in the AFC? Can they go to the Super Bowl?
It's what's going on, fellas? I heard y'all coming in, and I want to say, um, I'll say that the Colts are surprised me. I'll give Daniel Jones a little bit of slack. I can't say he's an MVP candidate. I know he's playing well, but I would like to see more. Just like I want to see his game. For everybody that said Baker, to me, Baker was the MVP the early part of the season. He went up against a tough road game and scored 9 points. So it's like you're still having a good season, but you get dinged for that. Because it's like, hey, for MVP, I would expect a big time game. Lamar Jackson, I know, we Lamar Jackson and the Cowboys, we can't bring him up, but it is football season. The season he won the MVP, he didn't have the best numbers. He had good enough numbers, but he had wins against big teams in primetime stages. Like I think they smoked the 49ers on Monday Night
Mm-hmm.
Football, and it was all the writers were like, "Hey, it's kind of a wrap at this point." So I would say I need to see Daniel Jones with that kind of game. Only problem with him is I'm not sure what cross divisional matchup the AFC South plays, because the Texans look like they're done. They just look like they can't figure themselves out. The Jaguars, I mean, they got up for the Chiefs game. So, and then of course at the rear of the division, I can't even think of the whole division at that point. It's just because that division is just so. But so he won't have the biggest matchups against division games, but those division teams will get up for him. How will they perform, and how will they perform when Jonathan Taylor, who should be on the MVP ballot, but we know how the politics go with MVP. How's it going to go when he gets shut down? When they neutralize him and you put it in Daniel Jones's hands, is he going to be able to trust, my guy out of Texas, Adonai Mitchell? Is he going to bounce back from the bonehead plays, or is he going to be able to go to forgot the other receiver they have there? That's
Josh
pretty good
Downs.
player. They got
Josh
Downs, and they
Downs
got
and
I, I can't think of his name right now, because he kind of got lost because he wasn't getting the football. I know this because I had him in fantasy, but I just want to see how they come up with that. I'll say overall, when I did come in, Coach Berg, I do got to say this. As far as modern football, I understand about running the ball. If we look at it, running the football is back as far as a lot of backs, but throwing the ball on first down does break your tendencies. If you always run on first down, then that kind of puts you in. Now I know you can go play action, but it does help if you mix it up. I say out of the mix, I say 60% of the time I would throw the ball, even if it's a short pass. Then I'm coming on second down, third down, running it. And then if it's fourth and short, if the Eagles tush push. But normally, if you got a back that's getting, what you should be getting, a good running game, 5, 6 yards a pop, hey, you coming out on second and 4, then you get 6 yards, and then you come out, you throw it again, and it's all about mixing up. But I know you're from the old school, but I will tell you this as far as running game, look at the conversation I had on my Facebook group. Bijan Robinson, one of the best in the game. Jonathan Taylor up for MVP, Offensive Player of the Year. Christian McCaffrey, I know you don't love him, but he had an awesome performance on Monday Night Football. We got some back. I mean, Jonathan Williams from my Cowboys. It's like people had him as the worst free agent signing, and he's like top 5 in the league in rushing. And so guys that are able to, and then you see that with the great numbers because he's able to run the ball. So the running of the football is back. Teams are playing, and they're gonna have to play in more base defenses. If you come out in that nickel all game, you're gonna get 8 alive. So I'm like Jameer Gibbs. That's the other back I was thinking of. Just phenomenal.
Dante,
Yeah.
you stay on that defensive line and get the quarterback. Stay
I'm
on that
an
line.
O lineman.
Okay.
I was an O lineman.
Protect the
I'm
quarterback,
there.
man.
Gotcha.
But we running up the
Adding
2-0 on first down. We running up the
I got
yo-ho
it.
on first down.
I'm there. I'm
Listen,
pulling in everything.
if you can't get me 2 yards, you shouldn't even be on my line. That's all I'm saying.
I hear you, Coach. I just had to mess with you and bring it to the modern age.
Gotcha. Well, speaking of, again, I talked about Daniel Jones and the Giants, their woes. Again, couldn't really do anything with Danny Dimes when he was there. Now he goes off to the Colts. He's having this great success. Now it seems like there was a ray of hope that they found their next quarterback in Jackson Dart. But unfortunately, the Giants, who sort of they were trying to get some momentum themselves, they had a good win against the Eagles. But unfortunately, and arguably one of the worst losses in recent history, you're up big in the fourth quarter against Denver in Denver, and you lose it 33-32. You're the kicker, who was a replacement, came in and unfortunately played for Rutgers. So again, I'm trying to forget that, but misses 2 extra points. You wind up losing the game, and again, just one of the most lopsided. You give up 33 points in the fourth quarter, which I didn't even look that up and see if that's a record or not. But again, just a woeful loss for the Giants. But having said that, again, Denver, again, 5-2. They're top of that division in the West. So again, I'll ask the same question of you guys as far as Denver and their prospects. To run the table in that conference. And like they're playing very well. Their quarterback, obviously played well in the second half. And the Giants they just can't get out of their own way. But I think the good news, the only thing that's keeping people from jumping out the window is the fact that they think they've found their quarterback in Jackson Dart, who played pretty well in that game. He had him on the game-winning, the go-ahead drive to give him the lead. But your thoughts on this game and does Dayball last the season? We were talking about the Jets quarterback, the Jets coach. Dayball, if he goes 6-11 or whatever, is this his last year? Despite the fact that he has the young quarterback, does he keep his job? So let's start with the coach. And we'll work our ways down to Shawnee and Dante.
I mean, yeah, real quick. I think the Giants have definitely found a quarterback of the future. Um, again, they just get bad breaks, man. Again, I'm gonna say it's the coach. I don't think he's one of the worst coaches in the last 5 years of the NFL. That's me. It shows. We on your second, third. What? Daniel Jones, you pay him big money. He doesn't pan out. You bring in two quarterbacks who have starting experience. You got a Super Bowl quarterback. They don't pan out. Jackson Dart. He's young. He's a rookie, so he gets more leeway than the veterans. But again, poor ball management. Everybody wants to pass. No, they're running the ball. Poor coaching decisions. He's out of there. We coming back with a new coordinator next year. He's out of that. He's out.
Gotcha. Shawnee?
I think Dabo's job is fine now that it looked like Dart is coming to fruition. So right now, if Dart continues to show this trajectory of improvement, I don't think Brian Dabo's going to go anywhere. Because before when he got the job, with the Giants, he was looked at as a respected offensive coordinator because of the job he did with Josh Allen, and he just couldn't find it clicking with Daniel Jones. Then Russell Wilson, he's obviously on the downside of his career, but now he has another young quarterback who it just appears to be clicking more. And all of this, and just what stands out to me, all of this was just in the fourth quarter. This game didn't show in our area, and I don't have NFL ticket, so I wasn't able to see how exactly what happened. Even though I probably could have watched one of my bridge football games, you can find on YouTube. I just didn't do it yet. But I was trying to think of like, what did the Giants do in the fourth quarter alone to allow the Broncos to just keep having this much possessions? I mean, was they like scoring like within like 3 plays or something to score that much in the fourth quarter? Cause what was it? Put that graphic back up again, Mr. Bennett.
Yeah.
It was like they didn't have a point. Yeah, they didn't have a point until the fourth quarter. So even though it was 19-0, but I mean, this is what one, two, three, four, at least five different possessions in one quarter. So I just don't know how. I'm curious about now. I had in mind doing it, I just forgot. But yeah, this was definitely a collapse. But even with that, I think Dart threw a late interception that gave the Broncos a chance to kick this game-winning field goal.
Well, no,
But
I mean he led them on the drive. You see next to the bottom. So again, they were down under 2 minutes. The Broncos scored. Then he leaves them down on a touchdown drive to put them back up with 37 seconds left in the game.
yeah,
And then again, the defense lets them down. You know, they get in the field goal range or whatever, and kick the game winner to win it. So I thought Jackson. I think overall, I thought he played a very good. He played a
yeah,
very good game. Defense couldn't stop anybody. It seemed like
exactly.
in the half, and then with the penalties and whatnot that was going on as well. So again, I think that you're up 26-8 with 10-14 in the fourth quarter. Yeah, I think obviously try to run out the clock as you can, but defense they just went south and they just didn't show up. Those guys were wide open on too many plays in the fourth quarter. So I got to give a lot of on the defense as well, that they couldn't hold up the deal. And again, 37 seconds left. Again, this is the NFL. It's like you
We starting to see
definitely
a
got to
lot
play
of
a
that right
60-minute
now.
game. Yeah,
I
you
mean,
got to play a 60-minute game because and again, the reason why they were in that position is also because again that kicker, again, who is a replacement kicker because their main guy's out, he missed 2 extra points in this game,
mm,
including on that last touchdown. It should have been 33-30. So at worst, if they kick a field goal, you go into overtime. But again, especially you're playing in Denver, you get it to the 40, with that altitude, you can easily kick a 55, 60-yard field goal.
it's
It's not pretty hard
it,
in that environment. So
it's amazing what 1 point would do. You see a team miss an extra point, you be like, that's gonna come back in the game somewhere or
yeah, or
another.
you miss a 2-point conversion, which I think also happened in the game. They went for 2 on an
They missed two.
occasion.
He missed 2 extra points.
Yeah,
So he
Yeah,
two
screwed it.
extra
So
points, and
if
then I
they have
think
those 2 points, then they got to get a touchdown at the end. Like,
right.
and they cut him. They had to cut the guys. Like I don't. And they even put a stat out there that it was neither of them were blocked. So it's like he just straight missed them,
He just straight missed him.
and
Yeah,
that's you
well,
got to
hey,
go.
kickers be under all type of pressure, man. They have one bad game, they gone
there you
quick.
go.
You
There you
gone.
go. Going to go to the last time. So again, just overall, we talked a lot of NFL. So again, this is just someone's opinion, all right, of the current power ranking. So we talked about Detroit earlier. So we got Detroit #1, the Rams, who are also 5-2. It was the Bucks. They were up there. They dropped 2 points. Green Bay, and then I think you got to put the Colts up. I know they went up on this list. I would still have the Eagles and Colts much higher on this list than what it is. But if you guys
No,
want
you
to,
see the Eagles is crazy.
yeah, I don't know. I think the Eagles, I think they got to be. I think they need to be a bit higher on this list. But your thoughts?
I dropped the Bucks. I dropped the Bucks a little bit for
Yeah,
2 reasons. They have had a lot of close games, even against a team like the Texans, as we've seen, haven't had a strong year. So the Bucks, with going up against a strong opponent again, and then they lose. So that's a loss against both the Eagles and a decisive loss to the Lions. I dropped them out of the top five. I put the Eagles in the top five. Look like they kind of got it. I definitely have the Colts. I probably have the Colts right now. Power ranking, I probably have them at 4, at 3, or I'd have them at 3 or 4, somewhere between there, because I got to give them their respect. I like seeing San Francisco there, even though I think they may fade because of injuries. And Buffalo's there. I like having Kansas City in the top 10. To be honest, holy shit, I told you Detroit. Yeah. Now, Scam, you were saying that about Tampa, and my thing is Tampa Bay is the perfect team. If like my saying from like my Cowboys, if we can make the playoffs, I want to play Tampa for 2 reasons. They blitz heavy, and that gonna eat up a blitz. And then I just think that Baker at some point, I think it's gonna be the whole Cinderella thing, and it's like the pump. You gonna turn it into a pumpkin. Same. I feel the same way about Daniel Jones, but I got them respect for only having one loss.
Mhm. Yeah. Coach, your thoughts on the list? And any teams that stick out to you? Is anybody you move up, move down?
Nah, I finally saw the Eagles, man. I know I'm getting tired. Uh, right now, man, I'm surprised at the Lions being #1. I wouldn't see them there. Um, I would have the Colts at number one because we're seeing how they're even winning in the close games and their offense is really rolling. Um, Let me see who else. It was one more. San Francisco. I believe they too high. Of course, with Baltimore, they right where they need to be. Everybody, I'm surprised. Yeah, everything looks like it should from what I see. Especially with the 25 to 32.
Mm.
Uh, I think Cleveland could make a shift if they go ahead and start Shador Sanders and get a spark. They need a spark, and they'll be all right.
Gotcha. Well, speaking of that, I don't have a slide for it, but you guys introduced it in the chat earlier. So apparently there was a story come out of Cleveland that the owner Haslam, apparently his sons were on the sideline wearing Shador Sanders jerseys, and you had this one commentator who was up in arms about that. It's like, look, Dylan Gable's your quarterback, and how is that going to look where you got the sons of the owner are wearing Shador Sanders jerseys and whatnot? Again, do you think this is a big deal, no deal, it's just blowing out of proportion or whatnot, or what would you guys make since you guys? I think it was Shawnee. You shared that article? Or was not Dante? I forget.
Uh,
Oh no, it was
I
BMU. I
think
think
that's
BMU
Black Man
shared it.
shared that.
yeah,
Yeah,
Black
yeah.
Man
So
shared it.
your thoughts on that? Is that a bad look, or are we just blowing that out of proportion?
Well, real quick before I give my thoughts, because I was looking at this ranking. Where did you get this power rankings from?
Oh, it's a Fox. It was a Fox commentator. I just, I don't, I
Yeah, I
don't,
could,
I don't buy anyone. That's why I didn't even list the name of the guy. I just kind of put it out there, just so we have the
yeah,
teams ranked, and then we can just come down to decisions. So no,
I could tell
nobody,
he was
nobody
drinking on
is,
this.
it's someone's ranking. It doesn't necessarily have to be our rank.
Yeah,
The only guys I would move, and again, sorry if I'm being a hater to the Baltimore Ravens because I am a Steelers fan, so I got to hate. You guys got to be on the bottom half of that. 24th. You're not better than the Browns. You're not at this point. I get it. Your quarterback is hurt. I get that. Now, out of some sense of loyalty because of Lamar Jackson, you just don't want to drop them. But yeah, they're done. So they definitely need to be in that late 20, 29, 30, maybe around 28 or so. I'd put them there, but they need to be there. They're not the
yeah.
24th. I mean, I think
Uh,
the Giants are
I think
better.
they're just right. You may say the Giants are better right now because they're hot, but they're better than the Cardinals. They're better than the Browns. They're better than
No,
the
they're not
Saints.
going to win those games because
No. I mean, they're if they played on the neutral field right now, even with Cooper Rush, they're beating the Dylan Gabriel
no,
or the
they're not.
Shadur Sanders
No, they're
Browns.
not. No.
Yeah,
I
they
don't,
are.
I don't know if the I
They
don't know if the Ravens will beat Cleveland because Cleveland's defense.
And
I
Joe
And
mean,
Flacco's, and yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, Joe Flacco's with the Bengals. So, but
yeah, so
yeah,
it's
Dylan
basically
Gabriel don't
like
scare
Cleveland,
nobody.
like Cleveland's defense versus. I mean, they don't. It's not like the Ravens' offense is really clicking at all right now. You already know the story about their defense, so that'll give Gabriel at least a little bit more wiggle room. But that's at the bottom end of that. But this top end, I don't know how they got the Pats as number 13. I
mm-hmm.
would put the Patriots.
Yeah,
One, I'll put the Colts number 2. And the Rams magically went back up there. The Patriots will be over the Bills, so they beat them head to head. The Chiefs will be over the 49ers, I believe. Um, Eagles, yeah, it'll be some movement. Yeah, that person on Fox was drunk.
And
But
I got to put the Patriots over the Bills. And I want to say one thing that we're doing a disservice. I know we keep bringing up Daniel Jones as an MVP candidate. We need to put Drake May in that conversation because his numbers look pretty
that's the
good and he's
exact
getting a lot
reason
of
why.
wins.
That's the exact reason why I have the Patriots going into the top 10 above Buffalo. Because Drake May has been playing as well as any
he
quarterback in the
has.
league right now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no question.
So,
Yeah,
and this is power rankings that's supposed to be going. They fluctuate, so they should be over there. But going back to the question about Sanders, and I put it on the chat. Yeah, if I'm Dylan Gabriel, I'm like, okay, look, man, I didn't cause any of this mess. This what I'm saying was, and I want Sador to have a chance to show what he can do on the NFL level. But hey, man, you got drafted in the 5th round. There's a dude who the same guy who was drafted before you in position in the 3rd round. So obviously he's going to get first dibs on that respective team, and you got to give him a legit chance of because not like Shador Sanders is guaranteed to be a hit in the NFL. So if you drafted Dylan Gabriel, you got to make sure you give him a legit chance to be your starter. And right now, it just feels like there's this whole rush of just crowds because there's fans that want to push Shador Sanders, and you're not really thinking about how a team works in general. And if I'm Dylan Gabriel, I'm like, okay, look, man, because it looks like with the kids of the owner that has some kids sporting a Sanders jersey, it makes it look like the ownership have the support of Sanders, and Gabriel just kind of out by himself. Because from what I was told, Kevin Stefanski, Gabriel was the Stefanski guy, Sanders was the GM guy. But generally with teams, if you're a team that respects the head coach, you let your coach choose a quarterback because he's gonna be the one who has to coach him up. So that's why they got Dylan Gabriel. But it's like Dylan Gabriel now, he's constantly got to look over his shoulder. It just feels like he just don't have the appropriate room to grow, and if he just goes to another team after this rookie contract or whatnot, he can find, okay, let me finally just grow my skill set without without always having to hear somebody's name behind my shoulders or whatnot. And it's not like Sanders is doing anything wrong, but you seeing like a third string quarterback at the time was getting back, locker room interviews. You don't see that, and just a whole bunch of stuff that's coming with it. To the point now, I mean, it's one thing with the fans, but if the kids are the owner, that's different. So now it looks like the ownership just supporting the player, and you just kind of waiting on one slip up from Dylan Gabriel before the owner like put Sanders in, and Gabriel didn't get a fair chance of being a starter. So
but didn't the owner say a few weeks ago that he didn't even want to draft Sanders?
He probably did, but now that you have him, and your kids are obviously supporting Sanders, now the optics look like, because Gabriel right now I feel like everybody's just waiting for him to slide one time until everybody could this whole wave of Sanders supporter can put him on the field. So Gabriel, he basically feel like, man, it's hard for him to just completely focus on football. And now he's looking up and he's seeing like the family of the owner is supporting my competition as well. It's like you can expect that from the fans, but not the family who owns the team. So whatever the owner Haslam mentioned before the draft, I was like, who knows if that even still, is legit for us
I just
today.
think that's a sign of dysfunction, but
yeah, it is. It is. It's a brand.
Yeah, Coach. Because you weren't part of that conversation earlier, so your thoughts on that. So again, and it was true. A few weeks ago, the owner was like, he really wasn't looking to draft Sanders and whatnot. Now Gabriel's the quarterback. This last game, on the sideline, his kids are wearing Shador Sanders jerseys. This is a big deal. No deal. It's just a sign of just this function of the Browns, or what do you think of all this?
It ain't no deal. Ain't nothing to it. It's young people wearing jerseys of a player in the NFL. We all know what it is. Some of y'all got jerseys of Dak Prescott. Some of y'all got Tony Romo jerseys. What are we talking about? But what I'm saying, it seems like a big deal because it's the owner's kids. They understand what it is. Shador goes around the city to schools, to events, right? He's going to get a chance at some point. Cleveland has to win. If they don't win, they'll be a fool not to try him out. I don't understand. We look at quarterbacks of our color like all shit, but we got quarterbacks coming in. We don't know what they're going to be. It's the team. Anybody go to Cleveland, the Jets, who else? What other team that's struggling? Yeah, it's going to be like that. I don't see anything big of it because guess what? They'll probably have a Gabriel jersey on next week. And then what are people going to say? They the owner's kids. They probably got every damn jersey on the team. I don't see anything big on it. Yeah, but salute to Shador, man. He's getting talked about on the sideline. It says a lot.
I think if they do put on a Gabriel jersey, I think it'll be the first time publicly you've seen support for Gabriel.
Oh man, come on,
I
man. You
no,
in
I
Texas,
have you
man.
heard any? I have never heard any support for Dylan Gabriel this season. Never. I've been forgetting the dude was drafted by him sometimes. If I
He's
would
a
have followed the
starting
team,
quarterback. That's
yeah,
support
but
enough.
you don't hear any. You don't hear anything about him.
No fanfare because it ain't nothing special about him. Everybody knows something special about Shador. Everybody knows
I hope
that.
so, because if he
Dante,
come in
Everybody
there,
knows
let's
that.
get Dante in here. What are your thoughts on this matter?
Okay,
Big deal,
like
no deal?
the picture I saw, it looked like were they on the sidelines?
Yes.
So yes, that's where the biggest deal. If they're wearing that jersey up in the suite, I'm with you, coach. But on the sidelines, so this man can come off the sideline and get a glimpse of them and my backup's jersey. That is insane. And from a team with a dysfunctional ownership in front office, that takes the cake. That is as bad as in the '90s with Jerry Jones. Something's going bad with the team. Texas Stadium, he used to come down and be on the sidelines, just intimidating the shit out of the coach. That's of that levels of that's crazy that you would do that. And it's just like, but the Browns or the Browns or the Browns. I mean, from everything from dealing with that. So I remember they last week they had the radio people in Cleveland going absolutely crazy that you traded Joe Flacco to a divisional rival to a divisional rival. So they just, and obviously it was just a low level pick, but you wanted something. It's always something with the Browns, and it's always something bad. I'll be glad today when Shador does get a shot because I know his. I would say the fans of Shador are making a lot of hype about him, and I want to temper the expectations because what top end receivers do they have? I know they got Njoku at tight end. The offensive line is in, and they got a solid running back in Junkins. And the defense is there. It really needs to be a thing where he manages the game and make the plays when he can. But they won again, so it's kind of that pushes it, kicks the can down the road. But hopefully, in the back half of the season, he gets a chance, and that'll get a boost to the ratings for the Cleveland area and everybody else. So, but just total Haslam is just a bad owner, bad ownership, bad move.
All right. Got a couple more segments in the show tonight, so I'm just going to move the show along a little bit. Obviously, there's a big story last week with the coach of Penn State, James Franklin, who led his team to the college playoffs, the Final Four last year, out this year, losing 4 straight games. The last one to Iowa. A couple of these teams unranked. And Penn State, they just had enough. He's owed $50 million. From this. Do you guys think this was a fair firing at this point? Obviously they weren't going to be contenders this year, with the bowl pitcher, but too quick on the trigger here, and again, what's going to be what's their backup? If you don't want to pay him, who are you going to get to come in to coach Penn State? Don't say Prime either. I don't think Deion. Oh, you'll coach Penn State. Yeah, I don't think they're going to lure Prime from Colorado to coach Penn State. But your thoughts on this firing? Do you think it was fair, right move? So we'll start with coach and we'll work our way down.
It's a win now league now. Everything wants you to win now, and it goes to show that his security is not as secure as who is that? Your boy in Clemson, Sweeney, right? But it's unfortunate, they had a 3-game losing streak, and it is what it is. So, but Penn State will be okay. He's going to find another job, and he's going to, he's going to be in contention for the playoffs whenever he does find a job, within at least 2 years of whatever school. He has to go to a Power 5 though. Anything else, but I'll take the $50 million and salute y'all on out of here too. So it's not a bad deal.
Low key, if Rutgers gets rid of Schiano, which could be coming, because again he came in with a lot of aplomb, they've fallen off as well or whatnot. If you can lure him, you're still in the Big Ten, you're in the big conference or whatnot. So yeah, he can come to Rutgers for me. But that being said, Shawnee, your thoughts on the firing? Do you think good move by Penn State? Think it was unfair? What's your thoughts on it?
I guess it just shows you just how I think impulsive college football can be. I mean, you willing to let go of a person when you still owe 50 million to, and he came. I forgot exactly how the game ended, but he came within 3 points of reaching the college football
Correct.
finals last year. So I know. I think I think he was on the last string when they lost to UCLA. That team was winless. That team is literally at the bottom of the bucket right now. And when he lost to UCLA, that was his last string, and then you followed it up with Northwestern. I think at that time they were getting the paperwork printed out. Then he finished it off after Iowa, and that's how pretty much after that Iowa loss, they already had the paperwork ready. But yeah, and I asked a question last week when this happened. I was like, do you believe that Penn State a top 10 school as far as I try to go? I didn't really have time to think about it. If I go down the list, because you see, Antoine, appreciate it again the $5 super chat. He brought up the fact that Billy Napier was fired in Florida, and Florida I consider is a top 10 program as far as potential. It just depends on the head coach. So you got Florida as a top 10 school. Majority of them, of course, are going to be in the SEC: Florida, Alabama, Georgia, I believe Texas, uh, LSU, Ohio State, USC potentially, as far as top 10 like schools and programs that Notre Dame is up there. I I think Penn State may be on the brink of being a top 10 school. So they believe, I guess, they let go of a decent and respected head coach in James Franklin. They believe they can go out and get these potential big names to come to Penn State. And they were like, we don't know. I don't know if we really look at you like that, because Penn State, I think, would have potentially been a top 10 school, but I think that school is always going to be stained by what happened in their past.
Hmm.
That stain is just it's in there. You can't, no matter how much bleach you try to use, you ain't gonna be able to scrub it off. And so I think that kind of dropped them down. It's still a good program. They have money, and got the boosters, whatnot. If you give them put a good team, they will come out and support and all that. But considering these other programs that's out there, like we already know Florida potentially open. Florida State maybe potentially open by the end
Yeah.
of the year, and I put that program above Penn State. So they think you're not like UT, because UT have the money definitely. If they let go of a coach, they have full confidence they could persuade another head coach, a big one, to come there, because that's a big program. I don't know if Penn State is there. You may have to go take a chance on a up and coming coordinator. But you know how college football, they always want these names, and I don't know. And they make him pull it off, but it's still kind of premature, I believe. I believe he should have at least finished the season out. Because I forgot, what were they ranking in the preseason ranking when they came in?
They were up there. They were pretty high.
They were like number. They might have been. It might
Yeah,
have been. They
top.
were top five.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That the UCLA loss was a killer to them. Yeah, that's when they started printing out the paperwork.
Mm. Dante, your thoughts on the firing?
What I'll say is this, Johnny. If this was after who was the coach that took over after Joe Pa left? The coach for the Texans. Got a coach at the
Oh,
Texans. When he
Bill O'Brien.
O'Brien helped bring some respectability back. If this was around that time, you got to realize things go in cycles, and Joe Pa has died. So like that, and the fact that you can look at Penn State and you can see Abdul Carter was the top five pick. Michael Parsons was a top level pick. So you're still producing college athletes into the high pro levels. You are in that top 10 level of a job. What I will say is, I know you did. You mention Florida State?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Florida State is a school that lacks for the resources to be able to compete, because that's why Jimbo, if you notice, why he was able to get swayed. It's all a money game. What I will say is, how long do y'all realize how long Franklin has been at Penn State? He's been there 12 years. He's been there 12 years. He had the abysmal record against the top level teams. So it's kind of like they gave him enough chances, but you can't. And I think his job, I honestly think he would have either made it to the season or been safe, because I thought the buyout was too big. But the buyout was too big conversation happened after the UCLA game. And then after the next loss, it was like the big money people was like, after buyout, he's gone. And there was some people that he may not have had a vendetta against and might not have liked him as boosters, and they was gone. And I know you mentioned Shiano at Rutgers. The real person that seems like I think it's the betting favorite is Matt Rule up in Nebraska because he met his wife at Penn State. He went on a whole soliloquy about his wife and being at Penn State. And whenever you get a college coach, and you can mark this down and put it in the record, he may not get it, but it's a strong chance he gets offered when hold on, baby. Whenever you get a coach that does not flat say no, I'm not taking the job. Whenever you get to that, be worried. If the team that they're asking that's your coach, be worried because he didn't shut that down. He could have shut that down and be like, "We're worried about this team. I don't have any time. I'm not interested in that job." When they don't shut it down hardcore, that's a job that they're interested in. And I've heard from whispers that it's his job if he wants it. And I'll say this, Matt Rule, he couldn't do it at the Panthers, but talking strictly on the college level, turned around Temple, had them rolling, had Baylor doing good. Yes. Hold on. Hold on. And let me give me a second, guys. Give me a second. My wife's at work, so they're killing me.
I got you.
It's bedtime. But yeah, whenever you see a coach that gets offered the job and they shut it down, that's reason to believe. But he did a good job at Temple, good job at Baylor. He's turning Nebraska around. I bet Nebraska would want him to stay. He got them a 5-star quarterback, like from Georgia. You put him away from Georgia. I think people need to focus on those things about that rule and not so much the Nebraska is. Nebraska is what I would call a team that was a blue blood that has lost blue blood status.
Yeah.
And I would say teams like Miami were on the brink of that. And now this season, I know I say that even if they lost a game at home. Hold on. And then I'd say that, hey, he could be a good job if they get it, but you have to look through an unsawn every turn. And I think that's why you fire a coach this early, especially in the transfer portal era, because you're going to lose those recruits. And you got to find somebody to come and reel them back in. Matt Rule's a hell of a recruiter. He can reel them back in.
Gotcha. Another shout out to Anton for another super chat. So next coach to get fired, either Luke Fickle from Wisconsin or Mike Norvell as KP from KC. Good seeing to chat tonight as well. Yeah, I think Mike Norvell, I think he's going to be out. So again, Franklin, he could certainly be considered for one of those jobs. I think he's going to have his pick of several jobs. I think coming up this year, whether it be an upgrade from Penn State or not. At least he'll at least maintain level. I think Florida State, I think certainly could be something he'd be a strong consideration for. Moving on to the last segment of tonight. So again, we already talked. Oh, well, first of all, let me before I get into the last topic, let's get into the NBA. So again, NBA started out last night. So again, you already got two key matchups: Golden State and Lakers without LeBron James. Luka Doncic apparently in shape this year. Certainly almost had a triple double last night. Jimmy Butler. Certainly being Jimmy, Golden State pulled it out last night, and then defending champions again. Something like Gilchrist, something like Alexander still doing his thing. But this guy out of Houston.
Turkey.
This guy is like he's going to be the next Luka, again, another foreign-born kind of player who's seeing like all he does is score, and then you pair him with Kevin Durant. And so what do you think? How do you think that the West? I'm not even going to deal with the East yet. It's too early. Basketball, especially now, is too early for me to get headlong into it. But certainly the West is going to be intriguing. Houston I think they've upgraded a bit, getting Durant. I just want to know from you guys: one, does OKC repeat? And how do you see, if not, how do you see the Rockets coming in? Lakers, I think it's just going to be a story all year. I mean, good or bad, Lakers are going to be known for something. So I'm not looking at those guys being the title contention, but I am curious about what you guys think of Houston, since you guys are from there and you guys follow that scene. How good can the Rockets be this year, and can they truly challenge the Thunder for the West this year?
Well, I think if they would have had Van Vliet, who unfortunately had the knee injury in the offseason, they definitely would have been able to hold up. That was a huge loss. Like I said, it was a good game last night. Kevin Durant missed one of two free throws at the end. That's what gave Shea the chance to tie it up at the last second of the closing of the fourth. And then they had another shot. it was Shea and Durant 1-on-1, and Shea was able to draw a foul on Durant, so that's how they end up winning by one in double overtime. Uh, Alfred Sengun, 39, 11, 7. He is a he's a good all around player. He's been working with Elijah Wan in the offseason. You can definitely tell that he has some good footwork in the paint, and so that's why they decided to when they made the trade, because Sengun really made his name in the playoffs last year.
Correct.
They was like, okay, Sengun, we definitely could build around you when we were bringing Durant. Jalen Green, yeah, you're going to be part of the piece. We're going to trade to get Durant because he's the one who disappointed in the playoffs. Because Jalen Green was supposed to be their best player last year, but he fell off in that playoff. That's what got him traded. But Sengun, he's definitely been improving. So I do believe, because the Rockets can do, they just need, I know they had Amin Thompson as a point guard, and they tried to do the biggest lineup to start the season with four dudes over 6'11", starting that game. They just need more consistent outside shooting and a legit point guard to get the teammates in their proper spots. Defense, they got that. They defense is up there with OKC. Sometimes they even look better. Sometimes they have the athleticism in the defense. It's just the offense. Sometimes they can get kind of one dimensional at times because they just so athletic. But yeah, they gonna challenge OKC. Remember they finished number 2 seed last year, but the experience of OKC of Golden State ultimately beat them in 7 games, mainly because Jalen Green disappeared. If he would have showed up, I believe they would have won that series.
Yeah.
But yeah, my Rockets gonna be up there.
Or I think if Durant was there last year, they might have won that series.
Yeah, they would have had points. They would have had points. I mean, it's just Jalen Green's averaged less than 10 points that whole series. So
yeah.
But they're going to be up there. They're going to definitely be contending in the West. I think another team to keep your eye on, they're going to play after this game, and that's the Dallas Mavericks. Once they are healthy. Once they get healthy, they can compete. But we're going to get a taste to see how they look like, in particular Cooper Flag after this New York-Cleveland game right now.
Gotcha. Dante, your thoughts as you're also up in that area?
Yeah, I was impressed by the Rockets playing. The glaring thing, and I know that you try to say, hey, as a front office, give it time, but it was a glaring need for a playmaker and somebody to be able to steady the ball, control the ball. Because my thing is, KD, if you got somebody that can get him the ball in his sweet spots, that's going to be deadly. Sangoon, I would say, is the interesting thing that Shawnee did mention. I remember hearing, I think, Shawnee, it was you and other Rockets fans were kind of like, hey, we kind of got something in this guy. Let's see what he has. Whereas Jalen Green was a lottery pick, and it was one of those cases where they gave him the extension, but it was a tradable contract, which you need in the NBA. And I knew he was the guy after that playoff series. They was like, he's got to go. And Van Vliet, really gritty playoff guy, helped them get it to 7. I do think, it's a trade that I have in mind for them that, with my Lakers, but I'm going to keep that on because, Lakers fans might go crazy if I say that. But I'd say I like what the Rockets did. I don't think they're done to repeat just because, man, I hate to admit it, but the Nuggets are really strong. They got more depth with their team, more balance in the roster, and they got rid of Michael Porter Jr., who has a contract that's not really good, but they were able to get rid of it. And, you bring in players that kind of fit around Jokic and what he can do. I think the key for them is, will Murray be healthy when it's time? He's a guy that normally has problems being at his best early in the season. But in the West, you got to go pedal to the metal. You can't start slow. And that's what I'll say about my Lakers. You can't start slow. You're 0-1. Luke, you got prime Luka in shape. You gotta find a way to strangle up some wins.
When is LeBron's slated to come back?
I'm here. Everything I've heard is like mid to mid-November. I'm thinking with the sciatica is on his side, and it's like he seems like he has the more serious version of it. I think it's going to be something that he's not going to be able to come back until like December, and it's going to be something that I have to nurse. And I do think he may not want to. Hey man, Father Time is knocking. He might need to. I don't want to see him go out bad. I don't want to see him go out and I don't want to say it, but I don't want to see him go out like other legends have gone out and just it's like you're a shell of yourself. Especially if he's had a high play, just as second All NBA last year. So.
Gotcha, gotcha. Coach, thoughts on the NBA's season? I mean, the Rockets. And again, you got to look at the coach for the Rockets. Also, you team him with Durant. I think that's also having that veteran presence in the locker room. I think Udoka, they're going to be tough. I mean, I think right now, I think they're certainly the major threat. What I'm seeing in the West. But coach, your thoughts on the opening night? What do you think of the Rockets, and do you think that OKC, if they had the favors to repeat?
The way they looking and the way they play, it's rare. Most teams, and it's still early first game. Most teams coming off a championship, they go into a championship party the next season. For them to come out like they did, take a veteran with not a veteran team, but fairly young team. They were down. It was seemed like it was changing momentum every 2 minutes. But to win a game like that in your home opener after receiving your rings and you still have one of your best players on the sideline, that speaks a lot about who they are. Houston, they're going to give everybody trouble. Everybody in the West is going to have to look out for Houston. KD fouled out last night. I think that's his first time fouling out in some years. But their young players are going to shine. You're going to see an elevation because KD is that veteran. They can sort of calm the ship. But I'm excited for the NBA and all, especially in the West. LeBron James, listen, I got problems with my, what is it, sciatica nerve. If you ever had those problems, you don't want those problems. He's on his world final tour. He's showing his bald head in the back. So he's on. I think he got one more season if he plays healthy when he comes back. If he finishes the season healthy, he'll have a world tour next year, and that'll be his final year. But it's still early. It's still early.
Gotcha,
Yeah,
gotcha.
yeah,
Yeah,
sciatica is nothing to play with. My wife deals with that, and I was just like, so I know the seriousness of it. When I heard it, I was like, hey man,
Yeah,
it might be time to, you know,
yeah. And
sit
I see.
down.
The only time I used to hear is like sometimes with a lot of pregnant women, they'll get that developing in them or whatnot. But yeah, the first time I've heard it with a player, especially I don't think he's had a history of this before. So the fact that it comes up now, late in his career, is certainly
Well, stuff
surprising.
happened after you turn 40.
Oh yeah, tell me about it. But
I don't know yet.
last block of the night. So obviously we have the World Series starting up. On the 24th. You got the two best teams. It looks like going at it, which is all you want. I mean, the Dodgers, they've pretty much been dominant all year. In Toronto, they look very impressive. Both of these teams have a lot of offensive firepower and whatnot. But the one thing I want to sort of point out, we'll get to predictions and whatnot beforehand. But get the final game, Shohei Ohtani, 3 home runs, 10 strikeouts in the game. We got to start talking about this guy in the GO conversation. Now, I don't think he's going to reach any of the major MLB milestones. He's not going to hit 700 home runs. He's not going to have 300 wins. But I've never seen a player like this in my lifetime. And a coach, if you've seen somebody, correct me if I'm wrong. But do we need to start counting this guy in the GOAT conversation? And again, before we get into that, again, shout out to Anton, World Series prediction, Blue Jays in 6. The Dodgers aren't playing against Toronto. They're playing against all of Canada, just as the Golden State Warriors. Yes, the year that Toronto won the NBA championship, the Raptors. So certainly this is going to be if you're a baseball fan, you're certainly going to get your money's worth. Certainly watching this particular series. I don't have a dog in the race, obviously. When it comes to this, I would probably say, because I grew up in the '70s, it's almost like the Celtics and the Lakers. I hate the Dodgers because, again, I'm a Yankee fan, so it's like back in the day with those guys. So I can never pull for the Dodgers, especially since they swept this last year. So I guess I'll root for the Blue Jays. this year. So again, Jays in 6 I'll buy, but having said that, uh, the Dodgers seem like a juggernaut to me. I mean, they when their offense gets going, it's like they're unstoppable, and they arguably have clearly I think the best player in the game. And like I said, the question is will he be considered the GOAT when all is said and done? Like I said, I just I just don't remember seeing it. So let's start with coach, and we'll work it down. This will be our last block of the night, and yeah, we'll close out the show then. So what are your thoughts, Coach, on Otani? First of all, your prediction for the series on Shohei. And I mean, just looking at that stat, I was shocked when I saw it. I can't believe this, but you know, it is what it is. So your thoughts on Shohei?
I wouldn't put him in the GOAT. He hasn't played enough, but he is one of the most versatile players the game has ever seen, being the fact that he's a pitcher and a pitcher that can hit. That's fairly rare. So we'll see. I believe Toronto will eventually win in 7 because they have the hottest team. They're playing great team ball. Vlad's Jr., he's seeing the ball well. I watch baseball, and Tommy, the Dodgers go as he goes. He just came off I think he was like 1 for 20 or something. So but then he found his bat. But they go as he go. So if he's well, the Dodgers will be okay. But right now, Toronto, they're playing the best baseball, and it's the perfect time to play your best baseball. So I'm excited for the World Series, though.
Mhm. Yeah, Shawnee.
I was
He ain't the
I just
GOAT.
I
I
didn't say
just
he is now. I'm saying will he be? Because again, if he
He got to
continues,
stay healthy.
look
He'll
at
stay.
the seasons, obviously, but to put the seasons up that he's having to do what he's doing, we haven't seen this since Babe Ruth.
he's doing it better than Babe Ruth.
So you're talking about 100 years ago. We haven't seen this. So multi-generational players. We've never coming from another league, coming from Japan, which used to be guys from Japan just weren't superior to American players. I mean, yeah, you had a couple guys came out. You had the guy play for Seattle all those years and whatnot. We had a guy Hideki Matsui and whatnot. So I'm just saying you've had Japanese players that have done well in the MLB, but it was always for a long time. It was thought that they weren't as good across the board as the American player. And this guy comes in playing in another league and is dominating, or at times has been dominant. Now, if you want to say Mike Trout or somebody like that is still up there, and I know you had the guy who hit 60 home runs this year, certain guys, Aaron Judge and whatnot. There's guys you can name, but I mean, to do what he does is we've never seen this in generations. So that's what I'm saying. And if he gets another 4 or 5 years at this level, I think he needs to start to join the conversation. Like I said, I don't think he's going to reach any of the milestones. But if you want to talk about all-around players, you talk about Ruth, Mays, those type of guys. I mean, so that's why I'm raising a question. But no, I don't think he's the GOAT yet. But if he continues to have these kind of dominating performances, we may have to create a new category for the guy, if not in the GOAT conversation. But Shawnee, go ahead. I mean, Steve.
Well, I'm just happy Blue Jays because just like Dante, we in the same division, the AL West. I was happy the Mariners didn't go. They still looking for their first World Series appearance, and the fact that it came at the hands of a former Astro, like George Springer, that definitely was icing on the cake. Who's shown he definitely shows up in the playoffs. But with Otani, I made a comment on the internet one time. I was like, if I had to choose one player to build my team around, I think I'll choose Otani before anybody else. Simply because you are literally getting two players for one. And I put it like this in video game uh, jargon. I put everybody know pretty much you pretty much hear for the most part before Otani came to the picture, everybody was majority of saying they believe Barry Bonds was probably the best player they ever seen. and he was a full player. Um, I'll say Barry Bonds equivalent on the bat is a 99. Like if you're talking like Madden stats or
Hmm.
whatever. Well, Otani is not far below him. I put Otani as like 95. Because remember, Otani is already a three-time MVP winner. And Otani, so he's proven that he has elite stuff with his bat to win multiple MVPs, and he also has the ability to potentially win a Cy Young. It's just that's his injuries, that Tommy John surgery he had, is that's why people kind of you keep seeing him on the bat, but you haven't really seen a full slate of Otani pitching yet. Besides the time he was the Angels, because that was just he was playing in the abyss, and now he's getting the attention he deserves with the Dodgers. Even though I feel like national media only focus on two players, Judge and Otani, but it is what it is with that. But I believe if you were to pick a player and say, man, just give me a player, and out of all the players in history, because as great as a defensive player Barry Bonds with, baseball is all about the pitching, and you literally getting a player with Otani, consider he's healthy with the arm and everything, who can pitch like a Cy Young winner. He has that, and you getting a player who can literally. He already led the league. I think he's a two-time home run winner. I think he's a three-time Silver Slugger. He can perform with the bat as well with the elite names of this game has ever seen. So that's why I'm like, you literally getting 2-in-1. Yes, you've seen a player like Willie Mays, Barry Bonds, other players who are good with the bats, maybe not at Barry Bonds' level, because Barry Bonds is the elite of elite. I mean, you talking about Hall of Fame, as great as the Hall of Fame baseball is, Barry Bonds can almost have a room by himself. But there's been other players who can do that, who can dominate at the plate and in their respective position in the outfield. But nothing determines a game as pitching do. And Otani has that skill set to literally lead. I put it like this: Otani basically, well, one he did this past his last game. He basically won that game by himself. In a game that you gotta have, you can't control everything. You can only do. He gave three RBIs, 3 of the 5 runs, and striked out 10. He literally won that game by himself. And I don't know when the last time you can ever talk about that to a player.
Babe Ruth.
So
that's
why
back
I
100
say
years ago.
if we were doing playground drafting and whatnot, and say, give me a player or whatever, a GM, give me a player to choose, I would pick Otani. Just because I know I'm literally getting two players in one. You start everyday player on the bat, and basically, well, now you be a DH until your time to pitch every 5 games. Then you go out there and you
Yes.
can pitch at least 7 innings or more, strike out potentially 9+ batters a night. I'm like, come on, he's a unicorn.
Yeah. Yeah. Dante, your thoughts on this? Yeah,
Okay.
I
Well, I'll say this
I'm
real
with.
quick. My bad, one take.
Go ahead. Go
I
ahead.
said before Dante goes, also gave you a World Series prediction. So Coach
Okay.
gave you who wins in how many games?
Yeah, go ahead, Dante.
Oh, basically, like Shani said, so many people can impact the baseball game. So it's the non-position players that are going to get a bat, the starting pitcher that's 10, and I want to say maybe a setup guy and a closer. Otani is the biggest bat in the lineup. He's a five-tool player, and he's the only guy in history to get 50 steals and 50 home runs in a season.
Exactly.
And that's in a season when he can't pitch. So I can't do my other job. So I'm just going to get 50 bags for you. So it's just like, oh, offense needs some help. Let me get 3 home runs and 10 strikeouts. He's amazing. Like, yes, I'm with you. I'm with you, Mr. Bennett. Also, Shiny, he's about to get his fourth MVP. If he can add a Cy Young to that, that's gonna make for us that are so Otani is one of the goats a strong argument. And my thing is Barry is my guy. I forget about the Roy, the what's the name, all of that. Hey, I understand it, but Barry is my guy. But if you could be close to Barry as far as a percentage wise, as far as OPS average, and if you could be close to that, and you happen to say, hey, look, I got this Cy Young, because I can give away my prediction. I think they're gonna win the World Series to go back to back. If you can be somebody that's like I got back-to-back rings. I was an integral part in NLCS MVP, possibly probably the betting favorite for
The World
World
Series
Series
MVP.
MVP. So it's just like thank God, thank our the sports guy that he got out of Anaheim. First of all, you don't need a player that good not in the national spotlight. And I will say this, I heard this from some old school guys. They said back in the day, it might have been the Boston writer, Howard Bryant. He said it that back in the day they would have told Mike Trout, no, for the betterment of the league, you get your ass to the Yankees. We need you in front of the spotlight. And I would say that that's one thing that, I understand him not wanting the spotlight. If he goes there or like the Phillies or something, like that's the one thing I always respect about uh, Harper. I love that about Harper that he took on the big spotlight and was a big dog. But Otani being just so much better than his contemporaries, like that's the one thing about baseball. If you are the best guy, you're going to get the MVP. I've seen Alex Rodriguez win the MVP on a terrible Rangers team. He's the best guy, and I know that they're trying to give it to the big dumper, but probably should go to Judge. But Otani, there's no question in NL that he's the guy, and I think that a few more healthy years, like a full healthy season pitching, I really think another season pitching, another season hitting, and probably in about 3 years, I think this going to really solidify the case. I'm glad to be ahead of the curve, and I say
Yeah.
Dodgers in five.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's going to have, like you said, if he gets the World Series MVP, that's another feather you're going to put in his cap. And if he does it in a similar fashion he did in NLCS, he wins a game or two in this series. There's not much more to say when it comes to this guy. So yeah, but Dante, you're well. Let's go to Shawnee. Your pick, who wins and how many games?
Oh, I got Blue Jays in 7 because I believe they offense can. Because remember, I think the Blue Jays didn't finish with no, that was the Brewers. One of them finished the best record in the majors at the regular season,
Mhm.
but they got a good offense, and I think if you can get to the Dodgers uh, bullpen, then I think Blue Jays can can have an edge, especially if you can get to Clayton Kershaw. 'Cause that's great. He's gonna be a Hall of Famer, but he at the bottom of the slide of his career right now, and they got to put him on the mound right now. I think Blue Jays
You
pull
think they're gonna
through.
put him on the mound as a starter or just as a reliever?
No, no, no. He's already he came into the
Yeah,
playoffs as a reliever. Oh, he ain't starting unless some graphic happens
yeah,
when they starting pitchers. But he's so far down. I think he's going to retire at the end of the season.
yeah. Just he
And
already said it's over. He
yeah,
said it's over. He's trying to go out with a ring to go
he
out on
just
top.
he's basically like the break glass in case of emergency. Because right now, if he gets on the mound, I think the last time we saw him, he gave up 4 runs.
Mhm.
He's not the same dude right now.
Right, right. And Dante, yours World Series picks?
I said it. I said it, man. Dodgers in five. I know.
Dodgers,
I know
Dodgers
that
in five. Yeah.
Dodgers in five. I think that they are the best team in baseball. We've known that from the beginning, and they're showing it. The only thing that I'd say that might give them some a problem in game one is you had a team that played a 7 game series, and we saw that when they played that when the Mariners played that series and they won and they played all those innings. I thought for sure they were going to have dead arms and be fatigued. Nope, came out won the first two, and then obviously they trailed and the Blue Jays took over. But I do think that the experience that the Dodgers have and how good they are offensively, where it's just like, look at that lineup with so many potential Hall of Famers, and it's just like, hey, how are you going to keep up with this? I know that the Blue Jays have a strong offense, but I'll say you this, Johnny. As Rangers fans, we were conflicted because we have a little rivalry with the Blue Jays too. The Rangers fans are
Oh
not
yeah,
really. I don't have that beef with the Blue
the most
Jays anymore
famous
as much.
punch in MLB
With
history
yeah,
between
the
the two teams.
most famous punch. But like after winning the title, I'll say this: after winning the title, I don't have as much hate for them. I'll say this: I used to hate the Yankees when we made those 2 World Series runs. It made me understand how hard it is, and I was like, I see why people hate y'all, and I don't hate them like that. It's more either. So it just really was, hey, Seattle's not in. Oh well.
Well,
Gotcha.
Coach and Mr. Bennett, y'all remember that fight between Odor and Jose Bautista,
Yes.
where he
Yeah.
punched him
Oh
square in
Yeah.
my
the face?
God.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
they literally, it's a right by the campus of UTA. It's a little restaurant. They literally, it's a well painted mural. They painted that mural of
Yeah.
Odor punching him.
Yeah.
So Yeah, they definitely still remember that
Yeah,
whole.
yeah.
It's celebrated up here.
I think it's gonna
Oh
be
yeah,
hard for them to win in Toronto. That crowd. Going back to what Anton was saying earlier, you got a whole nation on you that you got to be playing
The whole
against.
country
Uh,
of Canada.
yeah, so I think it's gonna be tough. But I'll pick the Dodgers in six. Um, but yeah, but for them to win in Toronto, that's gonna be a tough game. But they're gonna have to. But we're at the final thoughts of the show. So the only thing I had was from a comment that shout out to Scheme Likely, aka Dusto, was in the building earlier. He talked about Indiana football, and again, I know they're ranked number 2 in the country right now, but it's been my tradition. They're not a powerhouse. They weren't. Did they? What? They weren't even in the college playoffs last year, correct?
they was
I
in the
think
playoff last year. Yeah, they was
they
in there
were
and
in
they
the
got
play.
smoked.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So I'm still not buying. I think once you get to the cream rises to the top, the Ohio States and the bigger programs, whatnot, I think they can get smoked again.
go
But
get your
certainly
banana.
it's a great story, especially given that I don't think they've ever been in this position before as a football program. So for Indiana to be there, I think certainly it's a great story. But just like any Cinderella, I think the ball is gonna the clock's gonna strike 12 and it's gonna be over. But shout out to the state of Indiana. You got the Colts and you got your Indiana football team going. So I'm sure that everyone's buzzing there. But some's going to get. I have more confidence in the Colts versus the Hoosier program. But certainly it's it's a great story of this particular year. So, Shawnee, you want to go next?
Well, my fine. I had it in my mind. And I forgot what it was.
You want me to go? You want me to
Yeah,
go,
yeah.
Dante?
I think I had
All right,
a
Dante, you
decent
take it,
topic.
and hopefully we'll jar Shawnee's memory.
Okay, so what I'll start off with is this. I just said earlier, kudos and props to the NBA being back on NBC. I got the chills and the
Oh,
feels
you hear
all the
the music?
time.
You heard the
That when I
music, right?
heard the music, it honestly it made me think about my pops and all the games we used to watch and hear him, talk about it and all that. It really brought back good
I
feelings.
think they need to go
Just
back. Remember when the CBS when they bought their 50 year the NFL Today. Now again, me and Coach we go back to that. That old NFL Today music came back. Everybody that just brought back the yeah. So I think
we get those.
all the
Yes,
networks go back to the old themes. That's why even Monday Night Football they use the old theme also.
got to.
So yeah
It's
yeah
nothing wrong with the old school. The old school worked for a reason, and it had a certain feeling. Their presentation, Mike Tirico on the broadcast, absolutely loved it. They're gonna make ESPN step their game up. I see that ESPN is doing the Tonight Show, the former TNT crew. They got them before the game and after. They pushed ESPN Sports Center to ESPN 2. So I think this is gonna work well with that. But the biggest thing I got is, hey man, the Cowboys need to get a win this week. They need to get a win this week to prove to the front office to make a trade. I don't think they're going to trade for Max Cosby, but you can make realistic improvements with the draft picks you got. And I want that to be at least in the conversation for the MVP race because he's playing lights out. And that's all I
gotcha
got.
gotcha. All right, Sean, you still searching? You got it.
Yeah, I got it. Shout out to the inside the NBA crew. This is their first night on the ESPN tonight, and I was going. So far, it looks pretty much the same. It's just a different logo. ESPN instead of TNT, but they already back to they all old form. So if you're familiar with the show, when word Charles Barkley's always talking mess about ESPN because if you watch ESPN's, you see their personalities be on every show. I mean, they work their personalities. They don't do one show. You may see them on 5 different shows. So Charles Barkley was talking about he ain't gonna be on no ESPN2, ESPNU, Deportes also. So that was one of his jokes, and I wish I would be able to share the screenshot. I guess the inside the NBA crew they put together their own little Charles Barkley ESPN schedule, making a joke of it. And they got Charles Barkley. They started from 3 a.m. to after the last Mavericks game right here, which can go until probably at least 11 o'clock tonight Central. You got it from going from places like Sports Center, the Ocho presents dodgeball coverage, Get Up, Axe Throwing League. They got Charles Barkley doing all these different shows, just playing up to that joke because now he on ESPN. They gonna work him, even though he say he not. They already had Kenny Smith this morning on first take. Kenny like, And I'm just supposed to do inside the NBA. So you know, ESPN they gonna find a show to get your opinions on other stuff besides whatever show you did. So, but shout out, it's good to see them back. And so far, it looks the same like it does on TNT. So,
Gotcha. Coach, close us out, sir.
And I ain't really got much voice left in me, man. But listen, man. Salute to all sports happening right now, man. It's a good time to be a sports fan. League, man. If you know somebody playing sports in your local city, man, go support them, man. Check them out. Just cheer them on. And if you ain't got nothing to do Monday through Thursday, come help me coach some fifth, sixth grade girls, man. You see my voice is down, man. See my voice is down there. Nah, man, real quick though, man, I just got some good news, man. My wife, man, you know, I just feel so blessed, man, where my life is going, where my life is right now. And man, I'm gonna keep on just doing what I have to do, man, to just trying to be my best, man. So you hear my voice is gone, probably be worse tomorrow. But I'm excited for the girls. They starting to play some good fundamental ball. But I need some help. I have an assistant coach, but on the roster, she's assistant coach. That's it, man. I need somebody to get out there and yeah, but I'll be all right. I'll keep y'all posted, man. We still got a little ways to go for the first game. But what I'm seeing, they're gonna be all right.
Appreciate you still staying in the fight and still working with
What's up,
young
Coach?
people. That's your calling. All right, guys. Appreciate you guys being on tonight. Make sure you hit the like button as you leave the show. But certainly for myself, for Dante, for Shawnee, and for the coach, this is the one-on-one sports show on the Black Man Unfiltered Network. You guys take care. God bless, and we will see you next time.